We are recording now, so we will do a little
Hang on.
insert.
I gotta work out where the fuck my webcam camera is.
The
Where
one
the-
under the table or above it?
No, the one down here. Because I
Please
don't know
hold
where to be
technical
looking.
difficulties.
All right, go
sweet.
for it. I'm good.
Sloan, do you want to start it, buddy?
Blue Jean baby. Kia ora. We're back, Failed Charge Games, but today we've got a very special guest.
Me.
Tom has
Hey,
returned.
Tom.
Thanks. Hey,
Oh,
hey guys.
we-
How are
Tom's good
It's been
to have you
ages, man. Where you been?
you? Look, I've been on a sojourn into New Zealand. I've escaped from Australia. Guys, we have Linton Keen, the famous,
Hey, guys.
That's the legend.
incomparable, like everyone who's clicking on this video will be like, that guy looks familiar. Is that
That guy has
Yeah, and his hair is out today,
Yeah.
so
I
rocking a
think you
different
should
vibe.
keep that up, by the way. Like, I'm disappointed you don't do it in more of your videos because it looks fantastic.
Thank
Does
you.
it get in the way of the dice rolls, or is there a reason?
It does. Like dice get caught in there all the time, but it's more of
I
like
bet.
trying to prevent my receding hairline.
he doesn't want to
punching
get into my branding?
Yeah.
It's
I'm
true.
stealing Tom's image.
Trademarked it.
Just as
Anyway,
long as we don't
what
start
are
seeing
we doing today, boys?
Guys,
Let's
this is
get
gonna-
off
this
my
is gonna
hair.
take a long time if we keep digging. Lachlan
I'm
is
just
here
jealous.
today, and Sloan, obviously, to help us go through the lists for the Desolation of Wellington, which is the tournament that's coming up in, funnily enough, Wellington later this week. It's a 2-day tournament. We'll go through kind of the specifics of the tournament itself, but we thought it'd be pretty cool and a bit of fun to go through the lists and finally bug Lachie into doing something with us, paying us a bit of attention and
Yeah, right. Celebrity much.
glory.
Well, hopefully we'll get to do something even more in the future when I'm in New Zealand because I'm there all the time. So, but for now, it's in the digital,
So not
internet
just
space.
braiding each other's hair and stuff like that.
That's right. Yeah,
Sweet.
something gaming related. Yeah,
No.
probably, maybe
We'll talk hair care tips.
in between braiding hair. Yeah.
All right. Let's have a look at this. I'm just going to share the screen quickly. Sweet. Desolation of Wellington. So this is a 2-day tournament, as
Wait,
you
are we
mentioned.
not going to like roll for scenario and stuff?
Uh,
Oh wait, sorry. Wrong video starts. Sloan, we're talking this time.
learn the adults are talking. I just want to be involved. It's a 2-day tournament being run by friends of the show, Peter O'Kane and Declan Callahan. It's an escalation.
Hey guys.
So it's a 400 point on day 1 and 800 point on day 2. I think we have so 400 points day 1, 800 points day 2. One of the strict rules of the tournament itself is your leader from day 1 carries across to day 2. But there is some leeway in that. So if you take Aragon, for example, with Fellowship on day 1, you could take him as King Aragon on day 2 with Gondor. So it's nice and thematic. Good opportunity for some fluff, as you'll see. Very few people have gone that route and have gone for this. Let's murder everyone with big creatures and things like that. But we'll go through the scenarios quickly.
Desolation, after all.
I'm sorry?
it is the desolation, after all.
Yes,
Yeah, I
it
think
is
Wellington
the
will be
It's not the
totally
culture of
desolated by
Deep
some of these
Wellington.
lists.
I live in Lower Hutt, so that's fine. It can be as desolated as it wants. Barring you, Sloan, obviously.
Yeah.
Sweet.
You
So
can
we'll go
do
through the
so.
scenarios quickly. Day 1, we've got Domination, Storm the Camp, Lords of Battle, and Contest of Champions, which is modified. The modification's pretty minor. I think you guys paid more attention to it than I did.
Yeah, basically, instead of having that little 3-inch bubble in the center that we all know and love from Contest of Champions, that's extended to a 6-inch bubble, which I think is probably a good little move because often you can see games be won and lost in that first and second turn with armies crunching each other straight away. So it's a little bit more forgiving, I think, which is a good move on Declan's part.
It's not even the first dice roll, it's who wins the first heroic move, because
Yeah,
you're
the-
always
the
going to
roll.
call a heroic. It's the second dice roll in that game that's important.
Yeah.
You know, you're either moving into them or moving the fuck away from them.
Basically, yeah. We've got Heirlooms of Ages Past on day 2, Hold Ground, and To the Death. So a good range of scenarios. Thankfully, no Reconnoiter, which is evil. I hate that scenario with a passion.
It can certainly be very one-sided.
Yeah, 100%. Are these the kind of common scenarios that pop up in Australia as well, Lachie?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's a lot of hate here for contested champions, like there is a lot around the world. Particularly, it's sort of infamous now after Kylie's defeat at Articon 2018.
Yeah.
In contested champions, like as soon as that scenario came up, she was sort of like, "Well, I'm going to give this a whirl, but this is hard." So it's certainly avoided. We played Clash by Moonlight, whatever that's called, Clash by Midnight, whatever.
Ill Met by Moonlight, something like
that's
that.
the one.
Dancing in the Moonlight by Toppling.
Yeah, that's right. That one sees a bit of play, but To the Death is always common. Domination is super common. Storm the Camp, interestingly, we don't see a lot, but it's a good one as well.
Yeah, Storm the Camps.
Is that deploying the center coming off the edges?
Storm the Camps where you have your campsite, their campsite.
Oh, and you got to get
that tiny little bubble.
Yeah, defend and take.
It's a castling scenario. A lot of people play for the draw. Like I've played it a number of times, and no one seems to want to leave their little hidey hole. So
yeah,
it can be that way. Yeah, especially when you get big discrepancies in movement between the two armies. I played that scenario against one of our regulars here in Queensland who takes all hobbits, and I was playing all mounted Rohan. So it's kind of GG. I just leave one dude behind and just ride over there. So it can be fun, but it can be challenging as well, which we'll have a look at once we start hitting some of these lists.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think any of the other scenarios kind of stand out as anything too different. I'm a bit sad that Fog of War's not there. I think.
Oh, yes. Sorry. In terms of classic scenarios, every tournament has Fog of War. In Queensland, our league specifically, and often Australia, it's just like it's the best scenario. It's so good.
Yep.
It's really competitive. Lots of cool tactical objectives. Really showcases players' tactical nous. It's a good scenario.
Yep.
So what's Fog of War?
Fog of War is the you choose a hero to kill, hero to protect, and a terrain piece.
Oh yeah.
The consummate
you hide your things under the piece of terrain.
Little secret
my things over here, like I'm putting it above board.
It's where you play the game of.
It's not like at the end of the game. Like, that's what I wanted to get.
Yeah, Fog of War was actually the scenario we had for the championship round at Arda, we rolled it on a dice, but we just picked it arbitrarily because we thought it was the most balanced.
It's one of those dice with lots of sixes on them.
Yeah.
Special dice, Lachie. I've heard about those.
Yeah, those Gandalf dice.
The Mordor dice as well, right? I've heard that's why they're so expensive now. Everybody wants those Mordor and Gandalf dice.
They are certainly
GW pay to win. All right, guys, should we have a look at some of the lists?
Let's dive in.
I would just like to say as well, even with Fog of War not being there, I do think it's a good range of scenarios.
It's a nice spread.
Kind of heavy hero for kind of board control ones, stuff like that. But Contest of Champions, I just want New Zealand to get over it. What was that, sorry?
7 games in a weekend. It's going to be a good time.
It will be good.
Yeah. I mean, obviously day one being only 400 points helps.
Should be a bit of an easier day. The other thing before we leap into lists is it is kind of interesting that we have Lords of Battle and Contest of Champions because they're sort of the same flavor. Yeah. Often in tournaments here, we pick one or the other, which is usually Lords of Battle, because, Lords of Battle is how many you've got the wound tally, whereas Contest of Champions is you've got the kill tally, but it's all leader-centric. So if someone's bringing something crazy like, I don't know, a Balrog on day one, Game 3 and 4 could be pretty much auto wins, but we'll see. Maybe let's segue on into lists from Balrog land.
I don't want to get tied into it too much, but to fix Contest of Champions, do you think it would help if heroes could kill with magic and ranged as well?
Oh, that's true, because it's literally
just
only close combat, isn't it?
Yeah, that could so many things.
That could certainly flavor it. I honestly haven't played the scenario enough to really kind of comment on it. Like, I'm sure the guys play tested the crap out of it. They did 2.5 years of play testing before this edition. So before I shit all over it, I should probably play it more, but everyone just avoids it. So I haven't played it a lot.
And
what about I mean, I suppose we could fucking chat all day about it, but if it didn't have to be your leader, you could pick which, because if you take Denethor and Boromir, you're like, well, what the fuck? Denethor has to be the leader.
Daddy, you go.
Yeah.
I think that's a deliberate thing, though, right? That's if you want to take Denethor, you have to accept the sacrifice of that when it comes to leader-based scenarios. So it's
we could have an entire.
He's so fucking cheap. Yeah, this should be part 1 where we bitch about scenario structure for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a recurring thing.
Yeah,
now.
we'll do that another day. We'll bitch about scenarios another day. All right, let's get into these lists. I've got them kind of.
Failed tournament gaming.
I had to retype all of these lists before this video because people were sending them in like they'd arranged it in like a crayon drawing or like through Lego before and hoped that it kind of arranged itself in the right way.
Yeah,
I thought
dance,
that-
but it sounds like some people did submit through interpretive dance.
Yeah, the player that sent it in by smoke signals, that was mostly unhelpful.
The carrier pigeon was delicious though, so that was great. All right, let's start with list 1. Brendan.
All heroes wear capes, Tom.
Brendan Hare. He has brought Rangers of Ithilien and Minas Tirith. I'll read out day 1 if you want. So Warband 1. He's got Faramir, Captain of Gondor with bow. It's his leader for the weekend. Frodo Baggins with Elven Cloak, Sting, and Mithril Coat. 2 Osgiliath veterans with shield. 2 Osgiliath veterans with shield and spear. 4 Rangers of Gondor and 4 Rangers of Gondor with spear. Warband 2, he has got Madril, Captain of Ithilien, 4 Rangers of Gondor, and 4 Rangers of Gondor with spear. What do we reckon about that one, lads?
It's missing Sam.
I agree.
That's what I'm saying. But
Straight
otherwise,
away,
it's really cool.
off the bat. Yeah, I really love the lean into theme. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's kind of refreshing to see Minas Tirith lists that aren't all, well, old edition, 1,000 Fountain Court, whereas now we've got lots and lots of Shield Wall or Avenger Bolt throwers, all that kind of stuff. So it's really nice to see Osgiliath veterans and Rangers in together.
Yeah.
Is this 400-point list being run as the Legendary Legion in day 1?
Yeah, so it's being run as Rangers of Ithilien, which means I think it ignores all bow limit. I appreciate the fact that Brendan hasn't just opted for all Rangers. He has brought the veterans, and that adds some really nice fluffy aspect to it. Like those models, if they're the metal ones, are beautiful. And even bringing Frodo is a really nice touch as well. Like it could be very easy to miss him and put 85 points more of troops with like Damrod
totally
like that. But
Sam's also kind of a waste of time. So I sort of understand that he got left behind. Everyone is always like, "Oh, I don't want to have to take Sam." But
the heroic combat is nice, but
super fun.
Then you've also got to put Frodo in combat, and it means he has to go towards Frodo. So it kind of limits you a little bit with that. But I love that list. I think that's one of my favorite lists of the weekend. Nice and flexible, a lot of shooting. Even though it's
lots of shooting.
Strength 2 bows, 1,000 paper cuts will bring you down,
That's right. In terms of our scenarios, up first we've got Domination, which is pretty, map control based, obviously, with our 5 objectives spread throughout the board. So I think it's a pretty solid list for that because of
23
his
models
spread of 23 with some decent bow fire to apply pressure. So it's pretty solid.
And if Brendan gets lucky with table as well, and in placing his objectives, he's got pretty much everything has woodland creature.
Totally.
So he could throw a lot of his objectives into woods and have the up hand there, which would be nice.
Yeah, solid list. And then I think it could be interesting Lords of Battle and Contest of Champions, because obviously Faramir isn't a huge slayer.
Yep.
So depending on what he comes up against, they would be his tougher games for day 1.
Obviously, with Frodo, though, and the ring, it does make Faramir a lot better if you can get him into the same combats. Obviously, halving the fight value and all that kind of thing.
Is Faramir a hero of Valor?
Fortitude, I think. Or maybe Hero of Valor. He should be Hero of Valor.
He's got 13 dudes in that war.
So he'd be Hero of Valor.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
Yes, he's a hero of Valor.
Cool. Yeah, Lachie is our book boy.
Faramir, eh?
I got all the books ready to go. I'll just be like,
sweet. Let's have a look at this 800 point. I'll read it out. Someone can do the next one. Warband 1, Faramir, Captain of Gondor with heavy armor, horse, and shield. 10 Knights of Minas Tirith with shield. Warband 2, Boromir, Captain of the White Tower with the banner of Minas Tirith. 6 Osgiliath veterans with shield. 6 Osgiliath veterans with shield and spear. Warband 3, we've got Madril, Captain of Ithilien. 4 Rangers of Gondor. 8 Rangers of Gondor with spear. And Warband 4, an Avenger Bolt Thrower with swift reload and an extra crew. What do you reckon?
There it is.
Those veterans are going to shine in that list.
I've also realized that he's 10 points down, so I've probably missed someone in there, so I apologize for that, Brendan. You get a sneaky boy on Saturday.
Yeah, well, Avenger Bolt Thrower, straight away. There it is. They're so popular at the moment. And Swift Reload, right? Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're absolutely brilliant. I think one of the tournaments we had recently had 3 in one list at like 600 points or something. So
that's a lot.
they're certainly in the meta at the moment. And Boromir's fantastic. And good synergies with the Osgiliath veterans. So certainly a solid list with lots of bodies
around him. Is that right?
Yeah, because they're one of the rare rules where it's cumulative. So they get their bonus for being near Boromir, and then the bonus for being near the banner as well. So
so Boromir's banner gives them +1, and then being near a banner gives them +1.
Yeah,
being near one of the captains. Yeah, that's right. The interesting thing will be whether if you're within range of Faramir and Boromir, it doesn't give you a double stack, does it? It's
no, that would be crazy. Fight 6 humans. Oh my god.
Yeah, you just take a bunch of captains.
Well, you can do it. You can do it with Dol Amroth these days and fiefdoms if you synergize right.
Yeah,
Fight 6 warriors.
We'll get to that.
Oh, will we? Excellent.
10 knights of Minas Tirith as well. That's a lot of knights.
That's cool.
It's a big, hard-hitting cavalry contingent for sure.
That's big, hard-hitting. There'll be some tricky deployments for you, Brendan. I think 10 knights around a hero with 6 inches deployment can be a bit tricky. But I'm sure you'll manage it.
Yeah, it's all about the setups, I guess, depending on what he wants to do with those knights is important as well. What scenarios have we got? We've got heirlooms, which is digging up our relic, hold ground and to the death, which are all the last two are basically get in the middle and kill each other.
Yeah, so pretty good for Cav.
Yeah, so they basically forming that gun line with his rangers and veterans and dictating a bit of the fight, and then Cav pairing off and hitting flanks is what I imagine, and bringing them around hammer and anvil. So it's a good list.
It is a good list. I really like this list. It's still fluffy, very thematic. It's nice to see the two brothers on there. It's a shame they don't get a rule together. That would be pretty cool.
That would be cool.
But yeah, I'm excited to see this on the table. And Brendan's a very good player. I've had a few good games at him at tournaments, so I would quite like to face this one myself. This is one of the few that I would like to face on the weekend. So hopefully we get a game.
It would feel like an actual game, right? Because it's a very well balanced list.
Yeah,
you could really play each other with it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really excited to see this on the table. And Brendan's an excellent painter as well.
For 2 hours,
Brendan paints nice armor, so this will look pretty.
What's the game length for our rounds, guys, in terms of time?
Oof, God, I can't remember. It'll be on the thing. We've got an hour and a half.
Okay, yeah. Looks like that's consistent across.
Yeah, so hour and a half. And then on day 2, it's
what's on
2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, 2 hours for the big games. Awesome. That's
sweet. All right, let's move on to Callum. Who wants to read this one?
I can have a go.
Sweet.
Day... Is it 1?
That's 1. Yep. It's the first number. 400. 100. Yep. Good. It's really coming along, Sloan. You're doing well, man.
Thanks, Tom. Honestly, with your support, I think I'll be able to finish this list tonight.
Wait till we get to spot goes to the farm, man. That's going to be amazing.
This is Callum. This is Callum running Moria. This is the one we've all been scared of.
Yeah.
Balrog Day 1.
Only
battle and Contest of Champions.
What do you say?
Dude, read the player
pack.
Let's not forget the Bat Swarm. That's highly integral component.
Because you really need to reduce people's fight when you're near a Balrog.
It's fight 10. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me the Bat Swarm
is your rock strike.
The Bat Swarm could be useful in obviously where it's going to struggle is map control. So Domination could be a hard game for him, but he can keep the Bat Swarm alive and throw it off to claim an objective as a late play. So it could potentially have some use.
Yep.
And 2 models can't break.
Yes. Yeah.
Can't break.
I guess the same for Storm the Camp, right? Leave the Bat Swarm behind and run the Balrog and everything.
Yeah.
See, I had a similar list that I was toying with for this, and I was just going to run the Balrog and a Goblin Captain, but I think the Bat Swarm is probably better.
Yeah.
Although the Captain could be nice. It's got a bit of might. It could do things.
You could march the Balrog.
That is true, yeah. Because the one thing that the Balrog lacks is might, right?
Yes, hasn't got any might. But he doesn't really need it. Doesn't need to strike. He's already fight 10. Doesn't need strength. He's already fight 9. Strength 9, sorry. It's going to be a hard list to face. Even in scenarios that are not favored towards it, it'll be hard to face.
It's going to be killing 2 or 3 models a turn.
What the hell are you going to do to it? I'm personally terrified of it. My list has no answer for it. So it'll be interesting. Do you want to do day 2, Sloan?
Yeah, so day 2, Balrog again. This time 2 Bat Swarms. And then just a variety of goblins with their loadout. And then 4 Marauders. Spicy.
Yeah.
I love it. Warband 2, Groblog with some more goblins, and 3 is Captain with some more goblins. Yeah, 43 models, pretty high. Not as high as you'd expect with Moria because you got the Balrog, but yeah, I find the most interesting part of that is the 2 bat swarms hugging the Balrog.
Yeah, in that warband is interesting.
Yeah, I would have put at least one with Groblog.
Yep,
because he's only like a fight 4 dude.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting kind of warband configuration because you've got a lot of your variety and your spice and your weapons in warband 1, and then warband 2 and 3, Groblog, Captain, Gobbos. I think a great kind of counter to this 800-point list is the 750-point list that Jacob took second place at Arda with. So my first question is, where are the Goblin Prowlers? Those things are awesome. Getting those trap models, even just having a few sprinkled through, and just the way that he built his warbands, he kind of spread some stuff out through all the warbands, so they all had these little tricks. And he also ran a cave troll as well, rather than the 2 bat swarms. It's still solid.
I'd love to know. Yeah, I'd love to hear what Callum, his reasoning for the 2 bat swarms with the Balrog is. I mean, maybe he's got a plan.
Yeah, I mean, my one concern is if there's any Maelstrom deployment, the Balrog hasn't got any might to modify it. So if he gets a bad deployment, he could lose all of his nice flavor stuff in one corner, you know?
Yeah, that's there is 500 points sitting off to the side. 600 points almost.
We have the Maelstrom deployment, of course, in the first match of the day on day 2 with heirlooms of ages past. So it could be spicy. Yeah.
But otherwise, it's got everything you need. It's got a big, scary monster to hit stuff with. It's got kind of that bravery bubble, so nothing is terrified. It's got numbers. It's got captains for March. It's got Groblog, who's just a cool model anyway.
Yes, cool.
I think if Callum plays it well day 1, he'll be kind of looking pretty solid for day 2. And
yeah, the Fearless bubble is huge. The Fearless bubble is so important. And of course, we haven't even talked about the throwing weapon or the free heroic combat, which are all new additions to the Belrog's profile. So the Belrog's amazing now. It used to be rubbish.
It's a sniper for banners and whatever he finds.
Fire and all that kind of stuff.
And if you're on fire, then you're fucked.
It's pretty much like at the beginning of the game, every player has to say, okay, am I focusing on the Balrog or am I ignoring it and just feeding it chaff? Yeah. And we had players we had 3 Balrogs at Arda this year, and every sort of player took a different kind of option, and some of them won. We had one Balrog get killed, I think, with Gandalf the White, Aragorn, and Boromir, all trying to jump him for 10 turns, but the Balrog player still won the game because he had a similar to Callum here, 43 goblins. So.
And numbers win you games in the end. It is a scenario-based game.
It is indeed.
Sweet. That's Callum's. Let's go on to Declan. So Declan's one of our TOs. Do you want to read this one, Lachie?
I shall indeed. Good old Deckers. So on day 1, he is bringing a really cool little list with a gorgeous display board. Saruman on horse and Treebeard. Coming in at 370 points, choosing not to take Merry and Pippin because obviously he doesn't want to chuck another 2 models on there and totally screw up his break point.
Yep.
So I think that's so much fun.
It's so cool.
Yeah. Treebeard is like insane. The Ent brutal power attack is so cool. I fucking love it.
Yep.
And he's just a ridiculously awesome model anyway. But what do you guys think about the scenarios for day 1 matching up with that list? Obviously, it's Declan's TOing, so he's probably not super hard playing to win, but he could struggle in those early scenarios.
I mean, Domination's going to be tough. He'll be Lords of Battle. I mean, he's not going to be giving away too many wounds.
So his leader is Saruman, isn't it? Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Those are all tough games, day 1.
Yeah, that is going to be a tough day for Declan, I think.
Yeah, we were chatting on the Facebook page about whether or not he should take Merry and Pippin, and he, of course, was wisely advocating that he doesn't want to drop the break point. But for those early games, sometimes it's handy to just drop Merry and Pippin off and send them running off to claim objectives.
Yeah, especially with Domination.
Yeah. Do they come with Elven Cloaks? I think they do.
I don't think so.
No,
5 points extra.
Or you might not even be able to buy them for them because technically I think they've lost them at that point. I can't remember.
It's a weird kind of rules anomaly because they're 10 points for the 2 of them, and ordinarily they're 10 points each.
Yeah, so, a bit of a bargain.
So you're talking about putting Merry and Pippin on top of Treebeard,
and then you can take them off and they can run off.
Yes, they deploy like his little Space Marine drop pod hobbits.
Well, in that case, I don't think he'd get the Elven cloaks.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
so.
correct. All right,
it's a
so
cool list.
day number 2. Yeah, it's and then at 800 points, he's gone full Council of the Wise, and he's dropped Treebeard because, of course, we only have to carry over the leader. So Saruman the White is still there without a horse now. So he doesn't need his horse. He's going all foot. Gandalf the Grey, Galadriel, Lady of Light, Elrond, Master of Rivendell with heavy armor, and Radagast the Brown.
I mean, it's a cool list.
It's super cool.
It's super cool.
I think everybody's dreamed of running this list, right?
Yeah. And like, it is quite a decent list depending on who it comes up against. There's that many overlaying buffs and like
it's awesome.
There's that much magic going on.
The magic, I think, is going to be pretty huge, and I think it'll catch a lot of people off guard if they don't know.
This kind of list often brings up the question about like how meta can change based on what people are taking. Often when we're kind of in a meta at the moment where we have a lot of low model count, high power units, and this list will succeed against that. I mean, there's still some great horde armies with like Gothmog's Legendary Legion and stuff, but there's a lot of big hard stuff, and this list will be good against that. But then as the meta evolves and people start taking hordes to counter the hard hitting stuff, then this list will kind of suffer. So it'd be interesting who he plays. Will be really interesting.
But there's lots of different things you can do, like with Gandalf restoring will and constant Wrath of Bruinans and all this kind of thing. Like
Radagast can heal.
Radagast can heal. Galadriel can just banish spirits. So if there's any nasty Nazgul around, they can.
Elrond has his like everybody sit down.
That's Wrath of Bruinans.
Down, guys.
I think only 2 of them don't re-roll fate rolls, which is just the biggest pain in the ass. You finally get a.
That's so true. That's so true.
Is that 3 staves of power as well?
Yep, all 3. Yep.
So it'll just be interesting to see, because obviously Saruman can't respond to Gandalf's heroic actions. So that
right. So this is Yellow Alliance then?
No, it's all White Council. It's one of Saruman
the White
on the White Council's special rules, as he doesn't listen to Gandalf. So
he's got an ego.
It's like, nah. Nick off, mate.
You can't tell me what to do, bro.
Yeah, quiet in the cheap seats.
Models, it's really cool. The army looks beautiful. If you haven't seen Declan,
it does.
Have a look on the. I think he's posted it to every Middle Earth strategy battle game website known to man. Deservedly so. It's a work of art. And
I'm not going to be one to criticize someone for spamming Facebook pages. That might be pot kettle black, but it's pretty good.
Well, down low. Sweet. All right, let's go on to the next one. We've got Govinda Lascelles, 400 points. He's running Goblin Town. So we've got Warband 1, the Goblin King, as his leader, 13 goblins. Warband 2, Grinner, with 12 goblins. And then Warband 3, he's allied in the Trolls, which is a yellow alliance, and he's got Bert. And for those who aren't familiar with the Trolls, Bert is the kind of mid-range one, I believe. Kind of combat-y, good horde killer. Not a super great utility model, but a solid wacky guy, I guess. What do you guys reckon?
So what's his special rule? Which Bert? Because all the trolls have these weird special rules. Which one is Bert?
He is the one who has the mince him into jelly, I think it is. So his power attack just kills everything around him, basically. He's very tough. He's a good model. But there's a lot of numbers there, and the Goblin King himself is an excellent killer as well.
Got to be one of the smallest model count Goblin Town armies that I've seen there.
That's true. That is really true.
Yeah, 28
models. The Goblin King's awesome. The blubber special rule, he's like unkillable, but he's nowhere near as tough as he used to be. Again, it's a matchup dependent thing in the new edition. Elven blades like cut through that blubber.
And magic as well.
And magic. So he's not as tough as he used to be, but he's still such a solid dude.
Yeah. Charges through his own goblins as well, right? He's got that rule.
Yeah, which is so key.
Throw them as well,
so
which is
cool.
fun.
Yeah.
One thing this list is going to struggle with is terror, because even the Goblin King, I think, is only courage 3. So if there's any Harbinger of Evil or Ancient Evil,
true.
We had a game where it came down to you rolling that, and you spent all of your points to try and make him stay on the board. And you
But it's a fun list. Goblin Town are really cool. I mean, everything is a spear, which is awesome. I'm excited to see it. personally, if I was running it, I think I would have taken the troll. I think it's Tom who sneezes on people. Not as good in combat.
Paralyzed sneeze is cool. It's really
That
cool.
utility on Tom is perfect, but Bert is still excellent. He's fight 7, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean,
It'll be fun.
the Killy one on day one's probably not a bad shout.
Yeah, it's a cool little list. Right. On his day 2, he's got surprisingly more goblins. Warband 1, Goblin King with 12 goblins. Warband 2, Grinner with 12 goblins. Warband 3, the Goblin Scribe. So, more goblins. Warband 4, Goblin Captain with 12 goblins. And then he's got all 3 trolls.
Wow,
Yo.
that's awesome. So yeah, only 43 goblins all up, but we can see where the points went. All 3 trolls. This is so cool. This will be really fun to see it play. I'm not super familiar with Goblin Town. I haven't played them or played them ever, I don't think. But the 3 trolls have cool special rules, so it'll be fun to watch them in action.
The trolls are fun. I've played the trolls quite a bit. They're interesting to use. It's 43 models. He's got a lot of punch. He's got a lot of might on the board with captains and obviously Grinner and stuff like that. And the scribe being able to bring on more models. I just hope Govinda is good at paying attention to what he's brought on, because obviously that doesn't count towards your break or anything like that if you bring on extra models. So I always got really confused with stuff that I brought on.
Yeah, it's a big thing to keep track of.
Yeah.
When the Goblin King, who has that special ability to pick up goblins and throw them around, the targets that those hurled goblins hit, do they knock models prone?
I think it knocks them down. I know it's a strength 5 hit, and I think it knocks them down as well.
Yeah, because I think I remember seeing someone utilizing that pretty savagely in combination with trolls, because you can throw it into combats that they're in with like big heroes, knock them down. I think because of the strength of the trolls don't get knocked over. So if Aragorn or Boromir is hunting your troll, then knock everyone over in the combat. It works pretty well. It's good
when you're not sneezing on them just to piss them off.
Yeah, that's right.
Hilarious.
What does the sneeze do? Half their fight.
Yeah,
which is amazing. And it's for a will point, and I think he's got 4 will on the sneezing guy.
Yes, 3 or 4. It's quite a few.
Willful fellow.
Willful fellow. Cool. We're just going to take a quick break, guys. We'll be back in a few seconds. Hey, guys. Thanks for coming back. Those eagle-eyed of you, I realized I had the trolls that ran the wrong way. William is the expensive one, not Bert. So,
yeah.
Cool. Next list. We've got Harpreet Singh, Sloan.
Yo. Azog's Legion. One massive warband with the most juiced up, jacked, steroid abusing Azog you can possibly imagine. White Wild, Heavy Armor, Stone Flail, and he's got some Berserkers, he's got a banner in there too, and then some Gundabad Orcs with a variety of weapons. 400 points, 14 models. That's there to kill some shit.
Is brutal.
Yeah.
Azog with all the bells and whistles, bar his signal tower.
I suppose that's the only other thing you could give him, right?
Yeah, I mean, that is a hell of a lot of punch in one model.
Yeah, Azog's a beast. He's insane. He shouldn't be fight 7, but he is.
Oh my god, don't even get me started, Lachie. I will we'll run out of time on this recording if you get me off.
Sorry. Scenarios all over again. He's insane. What's the flail do? I'm actually not familiar with the flail.
The flail, his one does his own thing where it lowers his fight to 6. So it doesn't lower it to 1 like all of the other flaily weapons.
Yep.
So it lowers it to 6, I think, and it's one of those ones that does like obscene amounts of damage to everybody.
Yeah, right. Okay, cool.
Interesting to see on the Warg, but I guess if you've got 6 might and you've got Master of Battle as well if anyone strikes to get above you, you can just strike.
And you can dismount with him and keep the White Warg, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to take a courage test. So
wow,
he technically could get up to 15 models.
Yeah.
It just means you've got a 6 might Azog, which is insane.
That's really cool. And the Berserkers are such great units too. I think they're sort of overlooked a little bit sometimes, but they can be really handy in a Gundabad line, because they got Gundabad are a bit one-dimensional sometimes. You're kind of just relying on killing everything with insane combat moves. They got no shooting. They still have no siege weapons with the troll catapult things that don't exist because they don't have models. So it's kind of a bit like, all right, well, you gotta be able to do something, and Azog is that something. It's pretty cool.
Do you think it's
Good
an
about-
all eggs in one basket kind of scenario with Azog though? Because he's not the
sure.
Balrog.
Yeah.
I don't think he can carry a list as much as a Balrog.
He definitely can't.
You can feed
utilize
Azog
him.
one. Yeah, you just feed Azog one dude at a time, and he'll have to like burn through his might to roll combat out of those things, and then he.
But like Contest of Champions, that is his bread and butter. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Especially on the Warg, and like Sloan
Yep.
said, 6 might. I mean, he can just fly about all over the place. The whole, like people who chuck him on foot with the Gundabad shield line. It's just no. Put him on the Warg, get him up there,
Yep.
get those crazy 10-inch slingshots.
you take Azog because
yeah.
you like giant orcs and you want to go punch stuff. And Harpreet, I appreciate that about you.
Good work, dude.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
he really wants to kill stuff.
day 2. This is
Day
even
2.
bigger.
Yep. So the same Azog, some berserkers, banner again, some more Gundabad, and a troll.
Nice.
You want to just scroll down for a sec, Tom?
Yep.
Oh no, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. And then Bolg, who is just Azog, arguably slightly better.
Yep, I agree.
He's pretty cool. He's pretty cool.
And then Gundabad orcs with sword, 4 of them, and then this is cool spice. I like this. Mercs.
Yeah, this is cool.
12 mercs.
Yeah,
I like that.
I love Goblin Mercs.
Chaff, yeah.
They give Gundabad a lot of flexibility, but it also is kind of the defense 4, and there's 13
Yeah,
of
they're a
them
bit
on the
soft.
table. So if you take them off, there's like half the list gone almost.
That is true. What's his number count? 29.
29.
Jesus. Okay, that
So-
is. Yeah, they're pretty cool. And
Protect those gobbies.
Yeah, yeah. Protect those
So
gobbies.
they get to like deploy in any terrain.
That's their
Yeah.
jam, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
So
can just
I'm
sort
sorry,
of.
it's with, like, relics and stuff.
4.
Yeah, so I think regular ones are defense 3, Mercs go to defense 4.
Oh, that's a bit of a shame. I feel
Yeah.
like they'd be heavily armored. They'd be at least 5. Oh,
But they're awesome. They still get
I suppose
the
it'd be 5 points a model still.
they still get the
Jesus, they are cheap. Wow.
yeah, they're only 5 points each.
Yeah, yeah.
They get the spear kind of ability, the chittering hordes, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Attack for each other. Yeah.
I think it's a good list. I mean, Bolg and Azog are really going to have to pull their weight.
For sure.
They always do, though. They always do.
Yep.
Yeah, they're so
Trolls.
good. It's interesting that we've got Bolg and Azog in the same list for like we're seeing that more and more now. For a while, a lot of people were running one or the other, not taking both. But people are loving both at the moment, and
I think it's like what Tom said, right? That eggs in basket vibe.
Yep.
Kind of like,
Yep.
well, you've got 2 hammers now.
yeah, that's right. The anvil's a bit smaller, but the hammers can hit
Yeah.
from both sides.
I mean, if you have
Yeah.
2 hammers, you just bang the hammers together, right? That works.
That's right. Yeah, who needs the anvil? Yeah. But a
Yeah.
troll as well. Gundabad trolls are fucking awesome. And he's gone with
Very
the
cool.
crushing club as well, which I think the consensus is that the crushing club isn't the most competitive choice because it's the one that does D3 wounds,
Yep.
which is awesome. But there's another loadout for the troll
Scything
that's
blades.
the scything talons, which I'm assuming does something more for attacks.
More attacks, I think.
Yeah. And I think the kind of
So you
general
can allocate
consensus
those
is
wounds differently. which is
that's a
nice.
bit better. But
Still
especially
cool.
when you've got Bolg and Azog as well, because you can hack heroes with them. So maybe he could have gone with the talons, but it looks so cool with the crushing club. It looks amazing.
I mean, there's not going to be much left once Azog and Bolg gets into
mean,
the events. It's
Yeah.
the list.
Yeah.
It
It'd be
could
good against a
also-
Balrog.
Yeah, that, and also like I think maybe unintentionally is probably quite good in this competition with lots of like hero heavy armies where you've got
Yeah.
lots
True.
of 2,
Very
3
true.
Your eggs in one
dudes.
basket and everybody else's eggs in one basket. It's just a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
basket party.
Like if you can just get lucky with a troll and D3 and Elrond off or something,
Yeah.
you know.
New Zealand have a Wicca fetish, apparently.
What can
Cool.
we say? Cool. All right. Next list.
Lovely work.
So we got
Half
Josiah.
Here we go.
Big
Bit
boy.
of Rivendell. All right,
Yeah.
this is me, isn't it? I'm into this. So we got some cool Rivendell Last Alliance action. Starting off in our 400-point list, we've got Gil-galad on horse with a shield. I'm expecting a pretty dope conversion, so that should be cool to see. And then we've got 9 Kingsguard in his warband with shield and spear, 1 with shield, spear, and banner, 4 Kingsguard with elf bow, and then 1 lonely Rivendell knight with shield, which is obviously just going to be jumping in with Gil-galad and heroic slingshotting around the place. and using his 2 cav, potentially also for objective capture as well in that those early scenarios, domination, storm the king.
Domination, yeah.
So yeah, it's a pretty cool little 400-point list. What do you boys think?
I mean, Gil-galad
It's
is
as good as you can get with Gil-galad, right?
Yeah. And like fight 6 infantry is preposterous. Like,
yeah,
so good. There's little things for each scenario. Like Josiah, for those who aren't aware, has like dominated the New Zealand scene for a number of years now.
Oh yeah, this is like the Josiah.
The Josiah, yeah.
I've heard of you, Josiah.
Phenomenally talented player, phenomenally lovely human being. Knows how to write a hell of a list. Look, I mean, 17 models seems low, but the elves, it's always going to be low. Getting a near max warband with elves is pretty cool.
The most expensive of the
most expensive elf you can get. Like the
true.
Spear Banner Boy is 37 points. That's 3 points more than a Goblin Captain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing how Josiah works this warband. I mean, I think he's probably got one of the biggest chances of getting rid of the Balrog with Gil-galad.
Totally. I was just thinking the same thing. Like for Contest of Champions, Gil-galad is like the second best.
Yeah, Aeglos.
I mean, maybe
cool.
Sauron, but you know.
I don't know. We haven't seen any Saurons yet. You guys have had a peek at the full list. Have we got any coming to the party?
No, thankfully.
Oh, no Sauron.
No, I thought about it, but no.
Because he's an easy 400 point, right?
That's true. I just paint out one model. The main kind of potential issue is obviously there's not a lot of bows, there's not a lot of firepower. So, and because most of his army is foot slogging, he doesn't have a lot of ability to dictate where the fight takes place. And with only those 2 cavs, so he could, if he's facing a really high shooty army, he could lose his numbers and kind of find himself a bit out of position. But it's, you know, it just takes a lot of finesse to use the terrain to your advantage and try and make sure that you set up the objectives properly.
He has got 5 bows out of 17 models, though.
Only 4 or 5?
Rivendell Knight's Harriet bow.
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's 5 on 4. It's an extra bow.
And the Knight obviously useful for Storm the Camp as well. So you can pretty much tell what his tactic is going to be. Yeah, I mean, it's a good list, and I have absolute faith that you put any list in front of Josiah and he'll do well with it. So I think it's a cool list. I look forward to seeing if he's done any cool conversions for Kingsguard. I haven't actually seen any of it, so I'm stoked to see it on the table. And day 2,
cool.
One of my favorite combinations of armies, Last Alliance.
It is a really, really cool combination. And it looks so awesome on the table as well. The gold against the like black and silver. It looks awesome.
I was this close to running it.
Yeah. Starting off Warband 1, we've got Gil-galad returning, keeping his horse and shield. We've got the same smattering of Kingsguard with going up to 11 on the shield and spear. Still our banner bearer, 4 bowmen, and now 2 Rivendell Knights with shield, maxing out Gil-galad's warband. And in our second warband, we have the big Númenórean boy himself, Elendil on a horse, which Tom isn't a fan of, and 10 Númenórean warriors with shield and spear, and 6 Númenórean warriors with bow. So still keeping up his kind of firepower. So he's got a little bit of a fire base to draw people into that shield wall, and then 2 big boys with Elendil and Gil-galad.
And 36 models at the end of that as well. That is practically a horde from the list.
Well, in this competition, yeah.
And that is absurd.
Yeah, some 2 very expensive heroes.
Elendil and Gil-galad,
he's hoarding with Kingsguard.
I know.
Númenórean. It's
absurd. But that fight 6 with strength 4, you've basically got a line of heroes on the table.
It's awesome. This I rate this 800 point as being really strong. The 400 point is pretty good as well, but this 800 point list is very good.
Yeah. I think if Josiah can see at day 1 with some pretty good results, day 2 he'll launch.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Now, do you want to talk about the heroes on horse, Tom?
Gil-galad, I have no issue with being on horse. I just have some thematic issues with Elendil being on a horse. Númenóreans just don't do it in battle, you know. But I have a whole lot of strong feelings about Númenor in general. Like their bows should be strength 3. I know Josiah wants them to be strength 4, which would be so good, but
a little much, maybe.
I mean, they're made of steel. They should be stronger than strength 2.
They certainly should.
I mean, steel doesn't make the arrow any stronger.
But it means you can draw it back further. Put out a few more poundage.
I don't know. It should cooler. Make them better. They're amazing models. They deserve to have their place on the tabletop. Like if it
Well, I'm sure with the impending eventual Numenor expansion, we'll definitely get some cool stuff for them.
Legendary Legion for the Last Alliance. Oh my
Yeah, it's obviously going to happen. It's going to be cool.
Yeah, I rate this list very highly, and yeah, Josiah
Does
will play it to the finest degree.
Yeah, for sure. Does Numenor have banners? Do you
Yep.
have options for banners? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, one banner in the list.
That is true.
That is true, and a very expensive one at that. So he'll be.
I mean,
fine.
it's not that much more expensive than any other dude carrying a banner.
That's true.
Like I've got a dwarf with a banner, and it's 33.
That's true. That is very true.
It's nowhere near as good as an elf with a banner.
Fight 6 elf. Yeah,
Yeah, especially
handoffs pretty well, I think.
you got to have that banner with the high fight value, so it makes sense it's with the L's. But I'm sure he'll be running his shield wall in tandem anyway to get the strength 4 and the fight value running together. So
Gil-galad gets Lord of the West anyway, so he can reroll one of his dice in combat. So he's not
very true. Especially if he's off flanking on horse, it's not such an issue if he's further away from the banner. So
I'm surprised that with his cost that he doesn't count as a banner for Numenorians anyway.
Yeah, I agree. And like Elendil and Gil-galad work so well together in tandem. Like you heroic combat for free with Elendil, carry that fight 9 across and just bounce around.
Exactly.
Like, it's just
it's a similar thing to the Azog Bowl, right? Like just
I wouldn't be surprised if in that Legendary Legion we see a whole bunch of like high elf Numenorian synergies built into those special rules to really play off the way they fought and died together.
Oh, don't talk like that. I'm gonna have to cross my legs. Just let's move on to the next list.
On we go.
Now, Julia,
she's running Elmo.
She's running Elmo.
Now, Elmo's got a huge buff in the new edition. His laughter
Fight
ability
10,
is
strength 10,
amazing.
10.
Yeah, he just
really overpowered.
Heroic shrug.
Heroic shrug.
Synergizes really well with Mr. Noodle. Is that his name? Shit, I've got no idea.
I'm not sure who Mr. Noodle is. Is that another Sesame Street character? I'm not sure.
I think it's from Elmo as well, which is like his own spin-off series when he went a bit John Lennon and decided he wanted to go on his solo career.
I see. I must admit, I did miss that. I haven't been.
It's not where I was going with Mr. Noodle at all.
Julia decided
you can't relate.
Top secret army was so top secret she didn't even want to let the tournament organizers know her list. So
she's going to wait until this video comes out, see what everyone else is running, and then submit it. Yeah. Smart.
I know. Whatever it is, Sloane really wants to play against her. Sloane has some unresolved anger.
Did she give you a whooping at some point? Did she, Sloane?
Oh, have I got a story for you, mate? I went up against her at the last competition in Hamilton, and she was running Rohan Legendary Legion with all Rohan heroes, Gambling, Elfhelm.
Oh, we might be talking about something similar later on. Yeah,
the gang, but just heroes, no troops at all.
Okay.
And I was running Isengard, and I was running, Lurtz, Ugluk, Brusku. I even had like a troll in there with some pikes, lots of crossbows, some berserkers. It was a very like cool mixed Isengard list. I was pretty proud of it. And I did 1 wound to Gambling and got almost quartered.
Nice. Yep, the legendary
I took Gambling.
Do that.
Yeah, I took Gambling off his horse.
My game finished early. I went over to Sloane, and he was just sitting there staring at the floor, shuffling his dice on the table.
I do my awkward like.
How's it going? And he just kind of looked at me with this sad, forlorn expression. I'm like, I understand. But yeah, Julia, I'm sure whatever you're bringing, it'll be cool. I think it's ghosts. Sloane wants to beat you. Give him a game. Cool. Next list, we've got Lev Prokofiev. 400 points. He's running Mordor. I don't know why.
Nice.
Mordor. First Mordor of the day.
Yeah, first Mordor.
There hasn't been too many evil.
Yeah, well, welcome to the new edition.
We've got Witch King of Angmar with Fellbeast, Crown of Morgul, 3 Might, 20 Will, and 3 Fate. That is a juiced up Witch King.
And who said the flying circus was dead, hey?
And Orban2, Kamul the Easterling with Fellbeast. 2 models, a lot of casting. What do we reckon?
I love double Fellbeast.
Yep.
It's cool.
It is cool.
Another
problem is
2
that-
model day 1 can't break. Like,
Yeah, the good old can't break is fun. Magic obviously took a bit of a hit in the new edition, and it's much less offensive now, which is why we don't see players like Ed Ball running the Flying Circus very often anymore. It's much tougher to play now. You got to be really finessed and really awesome and know your rates backwards. But like the Witch King's amazing, and Kamul's a really solid.
which
really
one's
solid
Kamul
race as
again? Refresh me.
He's the combat one. I think if he wins a fight, he doesn't lose will for fighting.
Yeah, that's
Oh
correct.
yeah, cool. Yeah,
So
that's a good one to have on day 1 then.
Yeah,
especially, and he's got 323. So
323 and Crown of
that-
Mordor.
is that full spec or can he go to 21?
That's
I
full.
think that's full spec. Yeah. And the Crown of Morgul is fucking amazing now. It used to be good.
So good.
It was like, giving you that 3 attacks, which of course, 4 attacks on the charge with the Wraith. But if you've now getting that, the free dice on casting is so good. It's really solid.
Yeah, he's a formidable caster now.
That's one question I wanted to raise. Because he has taken the crown, do you think he needs that much will?
I rarely advocate for taking the Witch King below full spec. He's just like he can just do so much. Often you'll find with like those lower mid-range wraiths is they're kind of effective to do like 1 or 2 big plays, but the Witch King can like stay the whole game and make either a bunch of micro plays or like several really big crucial moments. So I love taking him at full spec. He's good.
Especially if you've got that like make or break spell and you're just like, fuck it, I need 3 dice to make sure this happens.
Yeah, exactly. Black darts.
It'll be interesting to see. There's going to have to be some real target priority choices from Lev. Because if you transfix the wrong thing or drain courage on the wrong thing, it can kind of screw your turn. Like Felbeasts are great, but they're not unbeatable, Have to play smart and choose targets very well, but I'm looking forward to seeing it. I mean, who doesn't love a Felbeast? It's so Lord of the Rings. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Nazguls are just amazing. I love it. And this
cool.
is the third 2 model army we've seen for day 1.
You're right.
Which is
Treebeard, Saruman, Balrog,
Swarm,
Batswarm,
Batty,
and
his friend Batty. And then we've got Witch King and Kamul. Right, day 2, we've got fully juiced up Witch King again. 5 Blackguard of Barad-dûr, 7 Morannon Orcs with Shield Spear, 2 Morannon Orcs with Shield. Warband 2, we've got Kamul the Easterling with Felbeast, 5 Blackguard of Barad-dûr again, 7 Morannon Orc with Shield Spear, 2 Morannon Orc with Shield. Then Warband 3, Kardush the Firecaller, 2 Warg Riders with Shield, and 4 Morgul Stalkers. Guys, what do you reckon?
I find the Warband configuration a little interesting because we've got a Maelstrom deployment with heirlooms. So if he gets a bad roll with Kardush, those 4 Stalkers and the Warg Riders, they could be kind of isolated. And obviously the Stalkers are D4, so they can be. But I think they have Stalk Unseen, maybe?
They do, yeah. They have
they do.
Basically. Yeah.
So that will certainly help them. But like Blackguard, Morannons, it's so solid.
I love the Blackguard combo with the Morannons.
Yeah. They're really great.
Blackguard get that buff for being near Nazgul as well, don't they?
Oh, I think.
I don't know.
I think it's a courage buff or a fight buff, maybe. I think it's courage
buff would be sweet.
Courage. So I think they go to courage 5, maybe 4, which on an evil unit's pretty cool. And obviously Kardush can be sacrificed to get will back onto Nazgul as well.
Yeah.
No courage buff for Blackguard. Tom's inventing things in his head.
Are they? I thought it was. Is it the captains? Maybe.
It might be the captains. Yeah. Let's have a look.
Please hold.
Uno momento, por favor.
Oh yeah, it is the captains. I apologize. If there's a ring wraith on the battlefield, they go up to courage 6. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Which is like still super useful, but unfortunately not in play here.
That's a buff of 2, but yeah, not.
Did you say Blackguard with courage 6?
The captains, if there's a Nazgul.
Oh, right.
But Kardush can sacrifice himself to gain D6 will on a wraith, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, his synergy is really cool, and I'm guessing that either he's had them recently or just picked him up in the made to order. But yeah, Kardush is super cool. He's getting a lot of play at the moment in some of the top tables at the UK. He's really cool, really versatile.
He's got a really cool flame that comes out of his hand and then like immediately spins backwards because he came in that blister.
Stay down.
He can flame guys behind him.
Sweet. All right. Next list. We've got Liam Strongarm Livingston Sloan,
Hey.
friend of the show.
Yep. You've all seen Liam. Strong arm taking strong lists. Day one, he's Defense of the Deeping Wall. I like how he's named them. These are
Love
great.
it.
Love it.
Love it.
Yep. So Aragorn,
Future
Strider.
legendary legion.
Yeah.
Of course. And I'll be all about it when it comes around.
Yeah. Oof.
Like the Two Towers is.
Yeah.
everything.
Isengard at war is coming.
Yep. So Aragorn with Strider with armor, not the king or anything like that. No.
Base Aragorn.
Just good old Aragorn charging in.
Mhm.
Warband 2, Haldir with a good variety of Galadrim in there, which is nice, and a banner in there, which is perfect. 14 models, 400 points, solid.
Yeah,
Cool.
Again, low model count.
Aragorn
It's
and
amazing.
Haldir though.
Yeah, so you've got that really cool synergy with Haldir's special rule. What is it? Haldir treats Aragorn as a banner, I think.
Yep.
Which is super cool. And the I guess how many bows is that? It's 4 bows.
And it gets 2 shots.
And Haldir.
Yeah, and he's got his pretty heavy shooting, so that's up to 6 shots a turn on the elf bows. It's pretty solid in a 400-point game.
And you can call
Aragorn
free heroic
with a bow
accuracy.
by default.
Of course, Aragorn has a bow as well.
Yeah.
So free might points on the bow with Aragorn and Haldir shooting twice. It's pretty savage.
I don't think Aragorn gets the bow base. I think you have to buy it, but he can still call heroic accuracy.
I think Strider gets the bow base.
Yeah, I believe it's base profile. I can
You have to buy it.
double check that because it's important that he's picked that Aragorn as well, of course, because that maintains the Green Alliance.
Yes,
Yeah.
the fellowship.
Whereas
The fellowship one,
if we take Aragorn, so yeah, no, you're right. He does have to purchase the bow. So if he's just sitting at 165, he is bowless.
But he can still call heroic accuracy as part of his list.
Yeah,
So he just doesn't take
still
part.
do it,
But
Very
Good to
true.
know.
I would have been
They snipe out
tempted
those
to.
things.
You'd have to drop a whole elf to find the way to get that bow in, wouldn't you? That'd be
and even then, it's a strength 2 bow because it's a human bow.
exactly. Yeah.
And like
But-
Liam's clearly going for theme, and I know for a fact he's taking the Aragorn like running
Right.
at Helm's
Totally.
Deep. Like, it's gonna look beautiful.
Good on him. Good on him.
Good
Yeah.
luck, Liam. I'm bringing this to you probably tomorrow or the next day, and then you've got a day to
It'll be
paint it.
delivered. I painted his Helder for him. It's a saga.
I'm also
Day
giving him the Gimli day 2, so he's got two heroes to paint in one night. What a champion!
Day 2, Sloan.
Takes a strong arm. So day 2, Return of the King, Legendary Legion. Another awesome themey list and another really strong one. Strider again, free and dual this time though.
Yep.
So effectively 200 points worth of Aragorn, which is pretty awesome. Two Riders of the Dead, 4 Warriors of the Dead with spear, 4 Warriors with shield. Went 2, the King of the Dead, 2 Riders, 2 Warriors with spear, 2 Warriors with shield. Number 3 is Gimli with 2 Warriors with shield. Number 4 is Legolas with armor, cool, with 1 Warrior of the Dead with shield and just a regular old Warrior of the Dead with a sword. No other thing.
It's a cool list.
Yeah. 24
And again,
models.
like, 24 models is basically what everybody else has in this tournament, which is
I know,
crazy
it's like,
for Army of the Dead. They're
despite-
always meant to be out.
And despite having like 500 points worth of heroes.
Yeah, there's a ton of
Still
might
getting
on the
there.
board.
Yeah, we're seeing pretty much this exact list, maybe a few changes really frequently at the moment with the 4 riders spread throughout for playing objective capture. Obviously, what are we playing day 2? We've got heirlooms, so hunting relic and hold ground, but getting those, flanking action with the cav, and then all 3 heroes, the king, and a smattering of other dudes. It's getting a lot of play. It's winning a lot of games. I love the theme. It's really cool. Personally, I would never take this Legendary Legion because I want Aragorn on a horse. If I'm playing from a competitive angle, and a lot of the guys here in Brisbane have been playing this Legendary Legion, and we've sort of all come to the same conclusion that it's the free Anduril is just not worth losing Aragorn's 10-inch move.
He hasn't got
That's
horse
how
lord though, does he?
No, he doesn't have horse lord, so you can lose the horse pretty easy, I suppose. Oh,
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's a defense 4 horse. and like a lot of shooting happening now. And like if you've got Legolas on the other side or something like that, they can just take it out in one hit.
It's very true.
Or if you just Sorcerer's Blast or something.
Like
mean,
I
it's
find
common.
the fact that he can call a heroic combat basically every turn much more reliable as a mobility key. Like I've talked to you at length.
And
Lachie, about
heroic
that.
moves and heroic.
Yeah.
Can he call March? I think he can, right?
I think
Yeah,
he has everything. Yeah, I think
he has like everything. So he's awesome. We know my big 800-point match in our last tournament was my Riders of Theoden versus this exact Legion, pretty much this exact list, and it was one of the funnest games I've played and really tight. But Aragorn not having his horse basically cost my opponent the game because I just kept outmaneuvering Aragorn with my high mobility army.
Yep.
And he was certainly lamenting it, and a lot of people around here. But
Yeah.
like the Legend of Legion is still freaking awesome.
I mean, it's really
love
cool. And like it's the journey of Aragorn, like from Two Towers straight through. Like if there had been another day, you would have taken him in the Fellowship to start with, or even in the Rangers. Like
I love that. Yeah, it's nice to
really
see.
Cool.
Escalation really kind of lends itself to having some cool themes by building tiered lists. It's really cool.
I really like it.
I think unintentionally, Liam, without taking a horse, you haven't really shot yourself in the foot because there aren't many high mobility lists that we've seen so far.
Totally,
like,
yeah.
It's a Rivendell.
Like 2 Knights we've seen so far, kind of thing.
Yeah, we haven't seen any all-mounted lists yet.
No, surprisingly.
There's a bit like a whole bunch of Felwargs or Rohan.
Nothing. All right, on to Peter. So Peter is the other TO. He is bringing a combination of Misty Mountains and Fellowship, which is really cool. So day one, his leader is Gwahir in Warband 1. And then Warband 2, we've got the Fellowship component with Boromir of Gondor on horse with shield and elven cloak, and Legolas on horse with armor and elven cloak. What do we reckon, guys?
This is crazy. I love it.
I love it.
This will be so much fun. Gwahir is super cool now. Boromir and Legolas are solid models. I don't really know competitively how well this will sort of synergize. It feels like it might. What do we got day one? Domination and Storm the Camp, and then Lords of Battle and stuff. So Gwahir can kill stuff, obviously.
Storm the Camp, if he could fly.
Yeah, Storm the Camp. That's a really... I've never seen this list before.
I love it. It's awesome. I actually messaged Pete before when I saw it. I'm like, you're a madman. I love this. Boromir of Gondor has just got so much might. No fate, but who really cares? Obviously, Gwahir can only affect eagles with his heroic actions, I believe. So that kind of limits it a little bit. But I mean, there's so much might in Boromir that it doesn't really matter. Sorry, something after you, good sir.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, it definitely feels like Gwahir is fulfilling a different role to fighting alongside Boromir and Legolas anyway, with that much move and fly, I mean, he's off to do crazy shit.
As far as the flanking unit goes, Gwahir's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
He sure is. Obviously, he's 15 points down, so I'm assuming he's just cramming equipment in at this point rather than taking a fourth person. But elven cloaks and horses, so he can't use the cloaks while he's mounted, but if he loses the horses, they're certainly valuable. Or if he just chooses to fuck off the horses at the start of the game and drop Legolas in a wood and range from afar on an objective, totally legitimate. That could be a good strategy for Domination or Storm the Camp.
I mean, he's got 15 points left. If he had to drop the cloaks, what are they, 5 each or 10 each?
Yeah, so 25. You're not really going to get much else, except maybe
some hobbits.
Yeah.
It's just going to be...
Why bring the breakpoint in?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. And then 800 points. It's just that, but bigger. Gwahir with 2 Great Eagles. And now we've got Aragorn on horse with bow, armor, and Anduril.
This is so fucking
cool. Anduril? Who does this?
You're a madman, and I love it. I want to face this list mainly so I can see what the hell it can do, because I've got no idea.
Yeah, I look at this on paper and I'm like, what? It looks really fun. I mean, the Eagles are solid. It's Gwahir and 2 Eagles. Like there's just not a lot of bodies. That's the problem.
Yep.
But
the bodies that are there are good bodies.
They are very effective, handsome, well chiseled bodies. But...
Yeah, it's a cool list. I have no idea what it's going to do. I'm excited to see it on the table.
Yeah, in the hands of a good player, I think this could be quite devastating, but it will take a lot of finesse and a lot of tactical nous to use sort of really well. That would be my kind of...
Yeah, and Peter is a good player, but I have a feeling that as a TO, he just wants to dick around with something silly.
Totally.
Fast game's a quick game.
Fast game's a quick game. So then he can go help all the people who are complaining and bitching about rules,
Yeah, like Sloan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about this game. I just paint.
Speaking of not knowing anything about this game, next up we have a guy called Sloan.
That was the
Take it away,
perfect
Lachlan.
unintended segue.
Sloan, do you want to
Yeah, read your own list,
read
Sloan.
your own list, Sloan?
Okay. Sloan Doherty, Kingdom of Moria.
I believe it's pronounced Doherty, actually. Just you continue.
It's actually pronounced
Who the
Slam.
fuck invited this guy?
Don't speak to my son that way.
My mum called. We can't hang out anymore. So Warband 1, I'm taking Balin, King of Moria, with 6 Khazad Guard, 3 Iron Guard, 3 Dwarf Warriors with shield, and a Dwarf Warrior with a banner. And alongside him will be a Captain with shield, 4 Rangers with bow, 2 Dwarf Warriors with bow. For a little bit of on-the-side spice.
21 models, 400 points.
Yep, 400 on the dot.
Pretty cool. I like it a lot. Nice to see some flavor with Khazad Guard and Iron Guard.
Yeah, I mean, I just used what I had, really. But
Basically.
I
mean, this army looks spectacular on the table.
It does. It's
I know
amazing.
I say that every time I see them.
It's
but
so fucked up how good it looks. It makes me,
let's just
makes
be
me
real.
physically painful.
I'm going for Painted Award here. I'm not.
It's solid though, and it's like dwarven shield wall with a decent bows again. Rangers hit on 3s, don't they, Sloan?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So matching. Obviously, what kind of range are we looking at? They're just the normal bows on strength 2, aren't they? For the
They're
Rangers?
strength 2, but 24.
Yeah. The
and then
dwarf long bows.
Warriors
That's
got
right.
18 inch.
Yeah.
So you got short and long range. But like Captain for the March, like dwarves need March.
Yes. Yeah.
And you've got that, which is really good. It means you're not kind of spending Balin's might for useless stuff, although I don't think you can march anyway. Balin's a really solid hero. Khazad Guard are awesome. Iron Guard are great. Like with Khazad-dûm and Moria, you haven't really got too many options. Like there's no spears or anything like that. It's just
there's one spear. It's just fucking expensive.
Yeah.
The one spear.
The one spear to poke them all. Just throw dwarves on the table, and I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I quite like, we've all talked about it as well, but like combining things and like spreading it out. And so I want to have the shields with the Khazad Guard, and I'd try and pair them up where I could.
Yep.
For those kind of
it's all about managing those like shield wall kind of combinations and the different synergies of like the multiple attacks from the Iron Guard, freeing you up to do a big heavy 2-handed strike with Khazad Guard in the same fight.
Iron Guard,
all that kind of stuff. Oh, dude. They are like so underrated. They're so good. We were playing a Battle Companies tournament the other day. One of my mates was playing the Moria Expedition Battle Company. And he was just killing everything with throwing weapons. The throwing axes, they're really handy. And the same
Strength
thing.
4, right? Like there's something silly
Strength
like
3 on the axes. Yeah.
Strength 3, yeah.
Still great. I mean, you're strength 3 anyway. We'll quickly go through the 800 points, and then we'll have to take a quick break, just because we're running out of time.
This is a convoluted one.
Go for it.
So Warband 1, Balin, King of Moria. I've just jacked up the amount of Khazad Guard. He's got 2 Iron Guard, 3 Warriors with shield, a banner, 2 Rangers with 2-handed axe and throwing axes, and a Ranger with just the regular axe and throwing axe. Warband 2, his right-hand man, Floy Stonehand. And he's just got a little harem of Rangers with him and some Warriors as well. This is kind of a little bit more like hanging back because I've got the horn in here.
Yeah, that's nice.
Because Floy has no range on his ability, so they'll just kind of
love it.
Maybe hang back if they need to, spread out a little bit more. And then the second kind of hammer unit, and this is the Captain with shield throwing axes, 6 more Khazad Guard, an Iron Guard in there, 3 more shields, and some more 2-handed axes. And then the last one is just another Captain for some more might, with some spiced in Rangers thrown in the back there. Couple of bows, couple of 2-handed axes, couple of throwing axes. Lots of variety, lots of bits of this, bits of that, sprinkled all the way through.
Yeah, dude, I really rate this list. This is good fun. 46 models against the people that you're playing with, like on an average about 4 models per army apparently. So a really nice chunk of dwarves. They're fucking hard as stone. Good mix and so much might, which is so important for dwarves. 2 captains, Floy,
15 Khazad Guard.
Yeah, how did you get 15 Kazagard and 46 models? That's awesome. I suspect it's not paying for a King's Champion, which is my only other thing. But, we've talked about that. You don't have the King's Champion model yet. Fair call. Floy is sweet, like negating, because his special ability just like turns off stuff for a turn with a point of will.
It turns off active or passive or war gear, which means he can turn off Anduril, he can turn off Master of Battle, like all that kind of stuff.
How about the Balrog? Getting rid of all of his different things. How about, sorry, your goblins aren't fearless this turn anymore and you're broken, so say goodbye. It's really cool. I really like it, man.
Yeah, I love this list. I really
Floyd's going to be pretty clutch, I think, in those day 2 games, because as cool as Balin is, he's not like the most powerful hero. But take away the more expensive heroes' abilities that make them expensive, and all of a sudden he's a little bit cooler.
Yeah, I think something. Yeah, the captains are super handy. I think something like Azog's Legion, Azog and Bolg, could be a little interesting for you out of the list that we've seen, because they're so killy.
He's got double the numbers though.
But that's it.
And higher fight, like
higher fight, absolute like dwarves who are tanks. So it's good, man.
Yeah, as Tom knows, those dwarf captains with shields are like defense 8.
Yeah, they're just amazing. Like I play Army of Thrall, which is like a different flavor of these guys, but man, it's just such a bastard to get through them. But I'm excited to see this on the table. All right, guys, we're gonna have to take a quick break, and we'll come back with the last few lists in a second.
Cool.
Hey, welcome back, guys. Not too many lists left to go. We finished Sloane's lovely dwarf list, and now we're on to Sven. Whose go is it?
I think it's mine. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, you can go.
Yeah, you can go.
All right. Good. Some more Rivendell action with a bit of White Council mixed in. So in our 400-point list, we've got 2 warbands. The first one led by Elrond, the Master of Rivendell, with, of course, heavy armor, an auto take for Elrond, and then 6 high elves with a banner, 2 bows, 3 with shield, and a spear and shield on the banner bearer. In our second warband, headed up by Lindir, so running the Lindir Elrond combination, we've got another 6 elves, once again with a couple of elf bows and spears, a spear and shield, and then a couple of just shield bearers. So first of all, we should be seeing some pretty cool conversions for a couple of the old shield and sword models, which of course don't exist because we all look like this in Rivendell, apparently. That should be, that's right. That should be pretty cool. At 400 points, obviously, Elrond and Lindir, it's pretty savage.
That's
pretty
a lot
handy.
of Wrath of Bruinen.
It's a lot of Wrath of Bruinen, but not a lot of models. 12 dudes, so 14 with heroes.
Yeah, and it's naked Lindir as well. No armor on him.
Oh, wow. So what's he, D3 naked, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's 1 bow shot away from dying, really, isn't it?
Yeah, basically.
That's
2
true.
wounds, 1 fate, I think.
Yeah, he's very squishy. Having him unarmored is a huge gamble. I guess maybe that was a points decision for, so low model numbers as well. There's always the option of taking Arwen instead.
Yep.
Obviously everyone's on foot, which makes it interesting as well. But I guess saving points for numbers.
The Lindir Elrond combo.
This is the thing with Lindir as well, is if you put Elrond on a horse, which you'd want to do, oftentimes you haven't got the points to do that with Lindir as well, which means he's running after him on the battlefield, trying to keep up with him to keep that buff going, which
you got to go both on neither. So I guess he's running a shield wall, isn't he? And hopefully he'll be able to bring the foe to him. He's got how many bows? Is it 4 all up?
4. Yep.
I think just 4. So what do we got in round 1? Domination and Storm the Camp, Lords of Battle, and Contest of Champions. None of those are auto wins for this list at all. Those could all be challenging scenarios. So
I love Rivendell, but there's not a lot of mobility in this list, which is a concern, and there's no heroic march.
Oh, that's so true.
So taking Lindir as opposed to a captain, obviously buffs Elrond, but it's that thing that we've noticed a lot with these lists so far is it's a lot of eggs in one basket. Like Elrond is going to be going crazy with like this powered up free will every turn and stuff like that, but it's not assisting the rest of the list. But I mean, he's still got 12 elves, and elves are just so good. Like,
I don't think this will do bad in any of those.
No,
it'll be probably
like some of the other lists.
It's not like Balrog in Contest of Champions for
Yeah.
sure, but I mean Elrond in Contest of Champions, if they were paired up against me, would be pretty fine.
Yeah. Like
um,
the Elrond
Even
is
like
so useful.
Domination, like with these are like armored elves, like all good fight. They can hold objectives. They don't really mind.
Yeah. But like Elrond is such a utility character. Since they merged his profiles together, he's one of the best characters in the game. The ability to manipulate priority rolls is huge.
The foresight points are so amazing.
Like,
As long
so
as you don't
good.
forget the Matom, yeah.
I think the other thing that is sort of something people don't really. I remember that. The other thing that's kind of savage is in low points games, Elrond has sort of like an unexpected extra utility in that you're often playing for less turns,
Yep.
which means that your foresight points like have a greater per turn weighting. If you roll like a big 6, like every single turn, you can be digging with the points. So it's
and it saves his might as well. Like if you can manipulate that priority up to win the priority, then you don't have to call a heroic move, or you don't have to like the way I play knights, because I have a full Rivendell knight army that Sloane's working on for me. Is you manipulate down so you don't have priority. And like
get those counter charges.
Like it's such a fun mechanic to play with, and it's fun because there's nothing else like it in the game.
Yeah, it's really unique.
I always advocate Elrond as a character. Cool list. Keep Linda alive, Sven, or else you're going to have some trouble. But other than that, it's an Elven shield wall that's going to be knocking people flying with Wrath of Bruinen consistently.
Anyway,
that's true.
We look at the 800 points.
Yes, let's have a look at what we get added.
So he's added 6 models for 400 points.
Wow. So there's like... I think the first 2 warbands are literally not quite identical. There's a couple of extra elves.
Yes.
And then Gandalf the Grey on foot and Radagast the Brown on sleigh with Sebastian. Wow, yeah.
Can't forget Sebastian.
MVP. Yeah.
MVP. So that's, I mean, obviously pretty crazy. Bringing Gandalf into that same central shield wall, just more from that casting base, and then Radagast just swinging from side to side on that sleigh. More Wrath of Bruinens from that massive footprint of the sleigh. Yeah, it's a lot of magic.
There's a lot of magic on the table. I love Radagast on sleigh. Like, that model is one of my favorite things that Games Workshop have ever produced in any of their lines, so I'm always happy to see it on the table. But do you think the addition of Gandalf and Radagast beneficial to the list for the scenarios on day 2?
Honestly, I'd take one or the other personally. What do we got? Heirlooms, hold ground to the death. They're not, I mean, obviously Wrath is amazing with the sleigh, and the sleigh can be really useful, but I probably would have traded out Gandalf the Grey, maybe for some knights, some more bodies to strengthen up that shield wall, something that's a bit better at kind of I mean, not to rub off Gandalf, he certainly helps negate the lack of shooting with blinding light and all of his other incredible abilities. 3 casters effectively, 4. Lindy doesn't have anything on his profile. He just helps Elrond, doesn't he? So
he's a 65-point upgrade for Elrond.
Yeah. With it'd be interesting to see how he goes.
Yeah, I think it'll be a cool list to see on the table.
I think if you're going to run White Council, this is probably a way to do it, like a good way to do it, in my opinion, though, running it alongside troops.
Yep.
Like, if magic is your game and that's how you want to play it, I think that if you want to do it well, having some bodies to kind of compensate is probably a good tactic, right?
An interesting little theoretical clash. How do you think Declan's full White Council would fare against this 800-point, like, troop-heavy White Council variant, as sort of Sloane is pointing out?
I think
in that particular matchup, it would go to Declan.
He's got kind of playing the same game, but hitting heavier, I guess.
He also has,
because this isn't linked into
as well. So the White Council, when they're near each other, get the resist bonuses.
Of course,
they all get it. Whereas in this case, Elrond does not.
Yeah, so only Gandalf and Radagast. One question I had in regards to kind of composition of this list: is there anything that Gandalf brings that Círdan couldn't for less?
I mean, blinding light, but
Círdan has blinding light.
Oh yeah, so he does.
Staff of Power.
Yeah.
True.
Nenya, not Nenya. Círdan has free will every turn.
Does he?
Yep. So it may have just been a matter of not having the models, but
Could be. I mean,
like, yeah,
that's how I make my list decisions.
when you see my list in a moment, you see I advocate more models. I honestly, I'm not super familiar with Sven, but like this is a good list, and like in the hands of a good player, this will do well. It's such a controlling list.
Yeah, very much so.
Like it's the kind of list that I would like to play because it's super tactical. You make one mistake and there goes your game, kind of thing. So you're balanced on a knife edge, to quote the films. So I'd be curious to see how this goes. I think it's a really cool list idea. There's so much magic. Yeah, I mean, good luck, Sven. I think it's gonna be cool. And like seeing Lindir and all these like magic users is nice.
It is actually quite nice. I think magic is probably going to be quite strong in this one because of the amount of heroes people are taking.
Being able to control that, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you've got 3 people that can shut down heroes individually, kind of thing. And if you've only got 3 massive heroes, there's your army.
Yeah.
The thing that I find interesting is it's kind of similar to like one of the big plays in the meta at the moment, which is something very similar, but with Rivendell Knights, except everyone's just on foot.
Yep.
So it's going to be, obviously that requires a very different play style. I'm potentially looking at running similar to this, but with Riv Knights in our 2020 season.
Yep.
So it's, obviously you're running that base from a shield wall. So what you're paying for, you're losing in mobility, you've got to work out how you're gaining something else by having a more solid shield wall with more numbers. So yeah, interesting playstyle. It'll be super cool to see how he turns out in the end.
What do you think is the most important model in that second list?
The most important model that's added?
Yeah.
Or in total?
Just in total on that second list.
Again, it depends how it plays, but it's probably Elrond. I mean, Radagast.
I put my money on Elrond.
I would go Radagast.
It's between the two. He can be insane. We have players here who regularly roll the Rivendell Knights Radagast combination, and it's fairly savage.
6 attacks on the charge, and when the knockdown it goes to 12. Like
it's crazy town. Yeah, whatever it is.
How he's the best fighter in the game, I've got no idea. Coolest. All right, let's go on to Taylor's.
Except for maybe like a Iron Hills chariot or something.
Yeah.
So Taylor is running Gondor. And he has a fun 100-point list. He's got Boromir, Captain of the White Tower with Banner of Gondor and Shield.
Here it is.
11 Fountain Court Guards with Shield.
Boom.
And some old school Gondor.
An Avenger Bolt Thrower with Swift Reload. This is old school Gondor, and I love it.
What are we, like 2015? This is awesome.
Love it. Taylor, this is cool.
Lovely work, Taylor. Yeah, super solid. Hey, I've got a Bolt Thrower. Come to me. And while you do, going to shoot the shit out of you. And then when you get here, you got 11 Fountain Court Guard and the hand grenade that is Boromir.
Fight 5 bodyguards.
Yeah.
Fearless. Don't care.
It's cool.
That's a cool list.
Storm the Camp could be interesting. Slowly foot slogging the shield wall across whilst laying down fire.
I mean, you'll have to pick and choose that where to make his stand because Bolt Thrower doesn't have a great range. So if he's
24 inches, right? So
I think it's 18.
No, it's definitely bigger than. I think it's 24.
I thought it was a short range one. I could be wrong. I barely ever see them. I've only played them once.
It's 24.
But if he gets out of range of that, there could be some issues. But we'll see.
This could be the sort of one where you go for the draw on that Storm the Camp.
Yeah, I mean, you never want to like actively play for it, but like this list is a castle list.
Yeah,
on for sure.
Castle scenario, it'll do what it does best, and castle. But 14 models, 11 of them are bodyguards, so they just ignore bravery anyway, so they're not going to run away. Like it's a cool list. I think it'll be pretty tough.
The other thing that I guess like one tactic that is always an option in Storm the Camp is deliberately castling and then trying to massacre them as quickly as possible so that the people that they've got holding the objective flee. But that all depends on how many eggs your opponent leaves in that basket, whether or not that play will work.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Do they still get a bonus for being within the campsite?
You get a courage bonus, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, that makes... Oh, that's right. So that won't work at all. because they automatically pass the courage test within the campsite.
Yeah.
That's
It's
the
like
whole
the Battle
jam.
Company's one.
Yeah. Okay, well, scratch that. Get over there and kill them or play for the draw. That's
But
pretty much it.
they come to you, and if you've castled better, kill them, and then you're like, well,
Yeah.
I'm just going to spend the rest of the game going after you.
Yeah,
sure,
on a
sure.
terrain heavy board, this will be a struggle. Like if he's got a killing field in front of him, he'll be fine. But I know that the way that the boards are set up here, especially, they're quite terrain heavy. So getting that field of fire for a bolt thrower can be quite difficult.
The other thing is, like, has it got swift reload? I'm sure it does.
It does,
yeah. It is one bolt thrower. On a good day, they're awful, but if they have a bad day, then they don't do anything.
I mean, if you roll like I do, it would be a one-shot 70-point model. Like,
yeah. So it's a bit of finesse. Let's see what we get in number 2 for the day 2 800 points.
800. This is beautiful. I love this list. Boromir, Captain of the White Tower with Banner of Gondor and Shield, 12 Fountain Court guards, so an extra Fountain Court. We've got that Avenger Bolt Thrower again. Warband 3, Prince Imrahil of Dol Amroth with Armored Horse and Lance, and 13 Men-at-Arms of Dol Amroth. And then Warband 4, Fall on the Fat, and 4 Axemen of Lossenarch.
Cool.
All right, so this is our Boromir and Imrahil hectic synergy, right? So this is awesome. I love this list. I've been like dying to play it for ages, but my fiefdoms aren't painted. So obviously the way that the keywords work is everyone's got the Condor keyword. So the effect from the banner, from
the 12-inch banner,
the 12-inch banner is amazing. So we've got all that beautiful stacking fight value. It's just awesome.
And then all the reroll one,
a 12-inch banner.
Yeah, Prince Imrahil's 12-inch. 12-inch banner. He also allows, I think, Dol Amroth units or fiefdom units to reroll 1s to something, and then Forlong has rerolls to something. And because they're all fiefdoms, it's so many buffs.
Yeah, it's crazy. So the way,
Cool.
Imrahil's banner only affects Men-at-Arms, Knights, and Captains. So in this list, that's only going to affect the Men-at-Arms. It doesn't affect the Axemen of Lossenarch unless you have the army bonus, which of course
They do.
They do.
Green
So
allies.
it applies everywhere, which works perfectly.
Badass.
And then Forlongs is the re-rolling of 1s to wound in the fight phase. It's really fantastic.
And those men
then you chuck in
fight 4 anyway, and then going up to fight 5 with the Banner of Gondor.
Yep.
So you've got 25 models on the table, infantry that are fight 5.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really solid. What's our total model count? We're looking at 34, and that's with just the one bolt thrower. That's the only shooting in the list now is one bolt thrower.
Yep.
So certainly relying on the bolt thrower to put a bit of suppression down.
Again, no captains, so the only mobility is really Prince Imrahil.
So he doesn't have March, neither does Boromir, neither does Forlong.
Yeah.
So it's all about that those 2 cav units. Oh no, Boromir's on foot.
On foot, yeah.
So it's just Imrahil on horse.
Just Imrahil.
I personally would have put Forlong on horse as well. That might be a modeling choice from him as well, because obviously there's no model for that. But Forlong should always be on a horse. Him being able to zip around amongst the axemen, amongst the pike line, and of course those pikes combining with the Dol Amroth, with the Fountain Court. Oh, this is cool.
Everything in this army can support, apart from the heroes, because axemen can count as spears or axes, can't they?
I think that's with the particular axes that they have. Yeah, I've got them
so
here.
they can spear, and
Axe of Lossenarch,
you
spear
got
or
two arms who have pikes, so they can. I think they're pikes, not spears, so they can support from
two
back.
deep.
And
all the supporting
12 Fountain Court Guard. That is a Death Star of Doom. Like that is Warhammer Fantasy Battles, old school. Like I've got a brick. Come and poke me. So I think mobility.
Like that scene from 300 where they jump on the turtle and all the spears flying. Exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you avoid the kind of brick in the center of the board where all the troops are, the bolt thrower is just going to pick you off. So best place to hide from a bolt thrower is in combat. So it'll be the coolest.
I think this list is really great for the scenarios too. Heirlooms hold ground to the death. Like fuck me, this list is built for all of them. Find the relic. Put the relic in the middle of the bubble. Move to the center of the bubble. The only problem is that he will probably be in a position where he has to push his opponent off the central objective and hold ground because of his lack of mobility, depending on the army he comes up against.
Yep.
So that could be an interesting state of play for him. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
See how it goes. I think he's in with a good chance. Cool. Then we got me.
Oh yeah. You want to read your own list, Tom?
Yeah,
Right,
you got to
I'll
read
read
your own.
All right. So I'm running Isengard. This is kind of bit of modification of the list that I used at Over the Top in Hamilton at the start of the year. It's my beloved Iroquois Scouts. I think Scouts are kind of... I'll get into it anyway. Warband 1, I've got Lurtz. He's my leader with Shield. Iroquois Scout with Banner. 7 Iroquois Scouts with Shield. 7 Iroquois Scouts with Bow. Warband 2 is Malher. 7 Marauders with Shield. 2 Marauders just plain. So 26 models, which is more than some 800-point armies have. Little bit of might. I've got some speedy boys. I quite like this list.
It's solid. It's really solid.
Just missing that drummer. Is that drummer going, Tom?
35 points for him. And honestly, this would have been the tournament to take him. There's no fog of war. There's no fog
Honestly,
of war. No one can choose the drummer as my hero.
I just don't think you need it.
Yeah.
In the 400 points, like we're playing Domination and Storm the Camp, and like you've already got the 8-inch movement of Mahor, particularly the people you're playing against. Like there's so few high mobility armies. There's obviously a bit of eagles around, but
there's just something hilarious about 14-inch move Urukai.
It's pretty great.
Which I used a lot at Hamilton, but that was
Not
a
to
much
mention,
more mobility based.
That was cool. Not to mention the whole stealthy scouts just fucking thundering their way through the forest. Yeah, it's good.
Now,
it's really
my issues with my list after seeing everybody else's is it's an issue across Isengard in general.
Yeah,
Isengard heroes are trash. Like they're just not competitive in comparison to a lot of other people's, but I make that up with numbers.
Yeah, and I mean, they're not trash, but they're just so mid tier. They're so mid tier.
So mid tier, and that's it.
There's 100 of them, but they're so mid tier.
And like to anyone that knows me and like my style of tournament play, like to anyone that's watched the channel, I play in a style that is fast and loose to make it entertaining. My tournament play is very objective focused, and to me, the game is focused on objectives. You need numbers for objectives, and that's what I bring. It's not quite a horde. Like, it's still competitive. I think scouts get really...
It's the biggest list of the day, though.
I have the biggest army of the tournament with Urukai, which is hilarious.
That is pretty funny.
We'll go into
especially as we have like 2 goblin armies and a goblin town army.
And second is me.
We'll have a look at my 800 points.
Yeah.
That's because I helped you write yours slow.
All right.
So Warband 1, Lurtz with Shield, Urukai Scout with Banner, 3 Feral Urukai, 6 Uruk Scouts with Shield, 5 Uruk Scouts with Bow. Warband 2, we've got Malher, 7 Marauders with Shield, 4 Marauders just plain. Warband 3, Ugluk, 2 Feral Urukai, 5 Uruks with Shield, and an Uruk Scout with Banner. Warband 4, an Urukai Shaman with Armor, 2 Wildmen of Dunland with 2-handed axes, and a Wildman of Dunland. And Warband 5, I've got Vrasku and 7 Uruk Scouts with bows. So it takes me to 49 models. Got a lot of shooting. I've got
out.
Shaman for Fury, which is excellent.
So my 2 points were with this list when Tom and I were sort of chatting about it previously. Tom loves his theme, but from a pure competitive points, Feral Urukai are a complete waste of time. You should always take Berserkers. But the thing that I love about the way that this game is going is obviously when we get the Isengard at War or Two Towers themed expansion, when there is a legendary legion built around this exact list, you will be able to take Feral Urukai, but you won't be able to take Berserkers. So that list structure will funnel you into making the themey choice. Because obviously for theme, you should take the Ferals, but you never would unless you're committed to theme like Tom. You'd always take the Berserkers who weren't there. So, props to you, dude, for committing that hard. I think that's really cool. And the other thing is, like, where do you put that second banner? Do you put it with Ugluk or do you put it with Mahor? Obviously, having a banner roving with your flanking unit is potentially handy, but I still really like, and I think you've made the right choice in the end, of having that banner with Ugluk in that big shield wall so that you're winning those fights in the shield wall, particularly for hold ground, particularly for to the death. And then, it's not such an issue with heirlooms because you can be sort of roving and moving and being so fluid.
Yeah, the Feral Urukai, as you mentioned, aren't a competitive choice, but I've got 5 of them. They're 13 points each. Like I
Exactly.
could have had a ton more models, but it's not really contributing much. Like they are fun to use. 2 attacks. Like
They're still reasonably
They're still
cool. It's
fine.
just that for
Let's get
2
the shot.
points extra, the Berserkers are better. But
yeah, exactly right.
yeah.
But like I think
Feral still have the 6 up, right?
Yep. So they got a 6 up. That's not cumulative, so they don't need to be near the Shaman, which is one of the reasons I took them. Because the Shaman's Fury bubble isn't big, so he's going to focus on shield walls, and the Ferals can just go off and do whatever the hell they need to. Good to go annoy like minor heroes and stuff like that.
Are they D4 Ferals? They
D4.
are, aren't they? Yeah, which is of course the big drawback. Berserkers have been nerfed a little with the impervious to bowfire, defense 6, but D5 in combat.
I do feel like Ferals should have been fearless.
Or at least, like, why the fuck are they 13 points? It's so stupid.
Yeah,
They should be like 11,
2
12.
swords, which is one of the most useless things they have. Like,
hey, what if someone uses, what's the spell that destroys the weapon?
Shatter or something is?
Yeah, shatter. If someone shatters their sword, they still have a sword and still have 2 attacks.
But I like this list. Like, it hasn't got... Like, I'm kind of terrified of some of the big critters that are around. Like, we've got huge heroes on the board. Like,
yeah.
I'm just going to have to play objectives, and I always do. I tend not to get caught up.
You've also squeezed in 2 banners, which I don't think anyone else has.
No one else has. No.
You've squeezed in 2 banners and 49 models.
How are they? I mean, maybe it's because of the models, but most of the time I'm always taking 2 banners at 800 points.
Yep.
Banners win matches.
Yep.
Banners are huge, and they're a fucking objective criteria, for goodness sake.
Yep.
Banners are really important.
Yeah, so protecting those is important. I've got some Wild Men of Dunland, which cracks me up.
I love that. I saw that and I was like, what?
They're just fun little models.
Cheap chaff.
And like, honestly, I just wanted to...
Makes up for the expensive ferals.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it could have been optimized in several other ways, but like, it's a fast army. People underestimate scouts. Like, I won OTT with scouts.
Yeah.
My games with dwarves were hard fought, but the scouts just generally obliterated most people.
Was Over the Top good evil?
Yep.
Yeah, of course. So even, and how many points was that? Was that 800 as well? 650, that's right. So a slightly smaller list.
Slightly smaller.
It's crazy. Your 650 list had like 45 models.
Yeah, so I've really kind of like had to make up points somewhere. And the Shaman, I honestly thought there was going to be a lot more Army of the Dead at the tournament, so I wanted to have that Fearless buff.
Fearless buff, yeah.
But obviously that hasn't been. But there's still a lot of terror causing stuff. I mean, you've got all the Elven Lords that cause terror. You've got Eagles, you've got Trolls. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. Fell Beasts, yeah. Yeah, I like this list. I think it's got a chance. As long as I don't get too distracted by big scary things and lose my way.
Yeah, I think that's going to be your main thing, Tom, is just play your game.
Play my game.
And
yeah.
And yeah, let the big heroes chew through your scouts like they're going to anyway.
That's actually going to be one of the annoying things is a lot of these armies, I will need to be the one that breaks to end the game. And I've just got so many more troops than everybody else. I'm just going to have to feed them my entire army. You're going
to have some long games. You're going to go to an hour and a half, 2 hours each game.
I fast play, but we'll see how we go. All right, we've got one more list, and this is a guest list because I asked Lachlan to do it. Lachie submitted a list. He had a bit of difficulty with his 400. What happened, mate?
Yeah, so essentially I'm running Rohan for this year. This is my 2019 year of Rohan with the Legendary Legion. We had an escalation tournament here in Queensland just recently at BrizCon. And it was a similar format. We had 4 different army sizes, though. The first game was we only played 4 games across one day. We had a 200-point game, a 450 game, a 600 game, and an 800 game. So my 800-point list that I've got, which is where we'll start. Do you want to scroll down to that, Tommy? This is what I ran at BrizCon, and it's pretty much my mainstay 800 that I've been running all year. A bit of background on me as a Rohan player. In the new edition before the Legendary Legion came out, I've been basically playing mass rider spam, running obviously Theoden, and then mixing up my different hero options with Gamling and sometimes Theodred, sometimes Aemma. But since the Legendary Legion came out, this was like the opportunity to go small and elite and hard hitting. So at 800 points, we have 7 heroes and about 12 Royal Guard or 13 Royal Guard or something, 11 Royal Guard. So in our warband number 1, we have Theoden, of course, the king himself, who is the leader, and he has a smattering of Royal Guard, 1 with banner and throwing spears, 6 with obviously horse. Everyone has a horse. Let's avoid saying that 20 times.
What, you're
Throwing
taking
spears
horses
and
with Rohan?
yeah, it's
You
a bold move.
madman.
And then one Royal Guard without horse. Day of Wine, I've got 3 Royal Guard with horse and throwing spears, and then 1 Royal Guard without spears. And then Gambling with Royal Standard in Warband 3, Aemma, Marshal of the Riddermark in Warband 4, and Elfhelm and Dernhelm, and of course Merry in Warband 5. Don't pay too much attention to the specific layout of the Royal Guard. This list here is specifically built for playing to the death, where it doesn't matter, because that was the game we were playing at the tournament. I'd probably spread my Royal Guard out a little bit more and put 2 with each hero, just for those scenarios where you've got the, Maelstrom or stuff deploying in different places. But essentially, it's hard hitting, it's small. The Royal Guard are basically there to be shields to protect my heroes from bowfire in the first 2 turns. When I get to combat, they act as part of the heroic slingshots, and I use them as a huge shield and just throw them into one flank while my heroes charge into the other flank together. And then the Royal Guards sort of become an anvil for my hammer to rush on, and if they're alive by the time the heroes get there, they link up and push through. Otherwise, I don't care, because the heroes do the lifting. They hold objectives.
I love this list. I would love to play against it one day. It's kind of the way that
so much fun.
I envisage Rohan playing. It's a really cool list and so thematic.
Yeah, from a theme point of view, it's specifically meant to represent Theoden and the knights of his household as they're riding across the field, and they get charged by Suladen and the Red Knights of Harad, and they have a big house-on-house duel, and so it's all meant to be all of his personal knights, which is why I'm playing pure Royal Guard, but it's also an incredibly powerful way to play.
Yeah, 100%. That's an awesome list.
Is it
should have been
one dude without a horse? Is that right?
No, they should all have horse. I might have just typed it up wrong.
Yeah, okay. One Royal Guard banner and throwing spears. I'm like, dude.
Oh, he has a horse. He has a horse.
And horse. There you go.
Nice. So yeah, it's good fun. It's really good fun. The amount of might that you have, the amount of might that you get back. The game that I ended up playing in the 800 points was against the Legendary Legion with Aragorn and the Warriors of the Dead. Over the course of the game, I got 17 points of might back with the banner.
You're a bad man, Lachie.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. So that was very, very satisfying.
And you should also point out that your 400 point list is just 4 Theodens, right?
That's correct. Yeah, for Theoden,
Theoden,
Theodai, and Theodie. Theoden's long lost brothers.
Theodidymus.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Lachie. It's really insightful going through lists, and I love reading lists. Sloan puts up with me on a daily basis, sending him crap.
Put up with, Tom, I love it.
Yeah, sure you do. We really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you for having me.
What do you think of kind of what you've seen? What's kind of different? Bearing in mind we've got about 7 minutes left.
Totally. All right. Well, in terms of the differences between what we're seeing kind of in our local Queensland community and New Zealand, in terms of our league here, we have, I guess, a lot more traditional kind of armies. We're seeing some pretty sweet old school hordes. We had massive Dunlending horde at 800 points with 60 models. We had big Urukai armies. We had a lot of surprising horde, and then of course there are the small kind of elite armies as well. Riv Knights with all the heroes, Treebeard and Ents, pure Eagles, some crazy stuff like that. But there's certainly some really interesting combinations here that we're not seeing, which is sort of interesting, I guess. But it's kind of a small sample size because there's only 15 lists.
Yeah.
But you guys have got some interesting stuff happening. But on the whole, you guys are playing really, really small. Really small.
Really small. All right. One question. Well, actually, it's going to be 2. Favorite list, and which one do you reckon is going to do the best? Taking out player skill and all that kind of stuff. Just
taking out player skill. It's really hard because there's not an auto choose for me. If I'm looking at, say someone's running the exact same clone of Ed Ball's Rivendell Knights list, that's such a safe choice. But no one's running the classic meta winners, except for maybe people might consider the Legion of the Dead, whatever that's called, the Dunharrow Legendary Legion, as being pretty solid. But in this pool of players, I really, this sounds weird because you're both here, but I really rate both of your lists, especially Tom's. Sorry, Sloan, but like
Thanks.
just so like people underestimate scouts, man.
Bye, Sloan.
People underestimate scouts, man, and playing, you can play objectives and play really well with them. So good luck, have fun. It should be cool. But it'll certainly be interesting to see how, particularly some of the Gondor Dol synergy plays. Like that's, if you put that in the hands of the right player, that list is lethal. And then some of the high magic armies will be really interesting as well, to see how they fan out.
What do you reckon, Sloan? Favorite army, and which one do you reckon will do best?
I haven't picked favorite yet, but maybe it's just biased because I know he's a good player, but I also think that the list is quite good. Josiah's.
Yep.
Oh, totally. That's the other. Yeah.
That's another strong contender.
Great list.
Elendil and Gilgalad. Like, good luck. Like, it's just two blenders. Favorite? I mean, I've forgotten a lot of them. Brendan's was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Brendan's was pretty cool. I mean, I'm a narrative kind of guy, and so I really appreciate the thought that goes into creating a good and fluffy list. And that, I feel like, has done that in both of the 400 and 800 points.
For the viewers at home, Brendan is our Gondor with the Rangers contingent in the 400 points list.
Yeah. Sorry, we can go back to them on the screen. Yeah. So I think both of these lists are cool.
Very true.
And will probably do pretty well as well. Like, I can't see why it wouldn't.
No, exactly right. It's got what it needs. I'll go something a bit crazier. I think Peter's is my favorite list. It's just so batshit. That's Guahir and the Fellowship. No idea what it's going to do, but I'm so excited to see what it does. And I think as far as a competitive angle go, we all know it's going to be Elmo.
It's just so good this edition.
He's unstoppable. I think Julia's really in with the shout with Elmo. But honestly, I think if played correctly, the Boromir, Imrahil block of Doom played well will be very hard to beat.
I didn't realize his banner was 12 inches. That's so good.
Mental. Yeah,
it's insane. Yeah, and then
it's a quarter of the board.
Because he's on a horse base as well. It goes out even further.
True, yeah, and then put those, nestled into the banner of Minas Tirith. It's lethal, particularly in Whole Grounded to the Death. Good luck playing that.
Good luck, guys. I just want to avoid all lists. But again, Lachie, thanks so much for joining us. It's been an absolute.
Thank you for having me.
Huge fans of your work.
Thanks, man. Tuning in.
Thank you for joining us and kind of humbling our small channel. It's been a lot of fun.
No, don't be silly. No, it was awesome. We have to get you guys on our time over big time soon. So we need to do something cool. Hopefully I'm coming over to New Zealand soon and we'll be able to do some in-person collabs, film some games and stuff.
That'd be amazing.
Very cool.
And obviously, I'll be back in Brisbane at some point. I'm a Brizzy boy as well.
True.
So I got to get home.
Put Sloan in your suitcase.
Yeah, I'll be still on track for next year, eh?
Yes, guys.
What's the big one? What's the big one at the start of the year?
Come over to Arda Unleashed in January, dudes.
That's it.
That's the one.
4 days of gaming.
Yeah.
And 4 days of spending time with you, Lachie. That's right, huh?
That's true. That's an added bonus.
All right.
Learn some here tips.
Thanks so much, man. And thanks so much to everyone for watching.
Thanks, guys.
We'll be shooting some stuff for Desolation this weekend, hopefully. As long as me and Sloan aren't like crying and melting from having terrible games. But
we'll both got like the biggest armies. We might not have much time.
We apologize if we hurt any of your feelings. That wasn't our intent. We tried to look at all this kind of objectively as possible. But thanks so much, and we love you all. Bye, guys.
See you, team.